We are
Oh, you're
live.
live.
We are live with you complaining
Hey.
about your face.
I am complaining about I look like so pink. I think the pink doesn't help that I'm like double pink today and you're double blue. Except your
I'm
face
always
isn't
double
blue,
blue
which is good.
for once.
Well, when your face turns blue, like that's definitely a sign that things are not going so well for you. So the fact
It is
that
cold.
you're
It is cold here. It's cold. I might well go blue by the end of the podcast. Anyway,
okay.
enough waffling. We're live and there's people watching. Hello.
Okay.
Welcome to a Paratrooper and a Yogi walk into a bar.
And there he is, the OG of the real Fox News, Andrew Fox, co-host of You like that one?
I said, hey, you like it?
Do people in Britain even know about Fox News? Yeah, sure. Everyone knows about Fox News. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your cultural imperialism is successful.
Okay, so you don't actually live under a rock. Andrew Fox is also the co-host of the Break podcast with Jake Wallace Simons, and that's Mr. Andrew Fox here on Substack and X.
It's Shana, my weekly ranting buddy, is is over there bending herself into the shape of a pretzel in Los Angeles as a yoga master and host of the Yoga of War podcast, which you can find wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
And you could find Andrew on the show twice for 2 amazing episodes. Okay, so Andrew, I'm thinking.
You're up.
Yeah, today let's try a speed round, okay, which will be particularly hard for me because you know how I love the yada yada. I'm going to start. Let's talk about the UN first. I think it's been drilled a little bit into the ground, but there are some things that haven't been addressed. So I'll give like my brief summation. Tell me your brief summation of just like the week that was. So last week, we witnessed the 80th annual UNGC bash. This year's theme, Bash Israel. Basically, it was a week-long hashtag funny, not funny meme. An Arab Muslim gaslighting marathon running circles around its time-honored tradition of peace, peace, peace. The hypocrisy on parade couldn't possibly be understated at all, as one belligerent autocracy after another prioritize their vilification of Israel even above their own self-interests.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, I know. Nobody expects that from me, especially
No,
you.
you caught me out. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting that to be so fast. Well done. But I'm just going to tell a small story about the UN because I spoke at the UN this time last year in New York, and as you walk in, there's this St. George slaying the dragon made out of dismantled rocket parts, clearly implying that the UN path to peace is to take weapons away from people and stop wars. And I just saw the irony that they'd spent the last year, as it was then, supporting the guys firing the rockets was really quite something. But I think the other thing about my dog's getting excited. The other thing about the UN this year is that it's clear that a huge amount of backroom diplomacy went on to arrange this whole deal shenanigans that we're seeing. Hamas probably about to reject, if we're honest. It's potentially proven its usefulness in spite of the awfulness. That's a very small thing because that could have been done anyway. But the fact they got everyone in a room together and banged their heads, I think at least it got a proposal on the table. Not a perfect one, not one I'm convinced will work, but it's a proposal, which is more than we had before that festival of anti-Semitism that we saw on the UNGA floor.
Well, we did get everybody into the room together, so to speak, but we also got them out of the room as they made this huge show of literally recruiting interns to fill the hall just so that they could walk out on Netanyahu. From what I understand, even Al Jazeera broadcasted his full remarks in full. So they're all listening in the back room, but it was amazing the way that they all left. Notable, however, that UAE and Bahrain stayed. However, notice that there was almost no one left in the room once the terrorists, dictators, and the plain old anti-Semites left the room.
Yeah, and it shows you how many of those countries aren't serious. They're just not serious countries. They're performative. What did it achieve? I mean, well done, well done. You've told Bibi you didn't approve of his war. You didn't do it for anyone else. Who's far, frankly, worse than Israel. Let's not forget, this isn't even the bloodiest war of the 21st century. Not even close. And we've had other wars going on where they haven't done this for the leaders of those countries. So what's the separating factor?
Jews.
It's Jews. Of course, it's Jews. But at least they're telling you who they are. At least you know who they are now.
Yeah, I'd like to focus quickly, because speed rounds, on some of the people who have been overlooked, because I think everyone's talked the big speeches into the ground. We could talk about those too, but I want to start with Egypt and Jordan, quite frankly. These two partners in peace. Egypt, which has literally locked the Gazans into a war zone and thrown away the key, actually accused Israel of genocide and implied that making peace with them was a mistake. We're treading on dangerous grounds with them. Jordan started right out of the gate by weaponizing the Jewish post-Holocaust invocation of never again to accuse Israel of genocide, and then relentlessly attacked Israel with an onslaught of lies and propaganda, including the king's favorite libel, accusing Israel of somehow threatening the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Total BS. The quotable quote that I loved from him: how long before we hold all states to the same status? Double standards, anyone?
Yeah, just bizarre, isn't it? Just bizarre. And I kind of get it with Jordan slightly more, though. I do slightly get it more with Jordan because they've got such an unstable monarchy there. The Hashemite dynasty is not stable. They're then Iran's number one target for overthrow at this point. If I'm Iran here, I'm throwing everything I've got at Jordan to try and bring down the Hashemite kingdom. They've already experienced the joy of Palestinians with Black September. And they've got a balancing act to do with their own people, and the last thing they can do in Jordan is show sympathy to Israel when the whole Arab street is in uproar about the Gaza war due to the propaganda. So I can give Jordan a little bit more of a pass because they've got a lot of domestic problems that they need to try and manage, and they can't risk being chummy with Israel at this moment in time.
Okay, I mean, you could give Starmer the pass for the same reason of internal unrest then, I guess.
Not really, because Starmer's not about to get overthrown and hung from a crane.
Well, maybe not the crane part.
We're talking, I'm talking like literally the fall of the country here, rather than some socialist dickhead making a fool of himself in the country on the world stage. It's two very slightly different things.
I have to be honest, though, I felt like Starmer was sort of drooling and biting at the bit when Trump talked about the border in front of him. And I am wondering how this might have all turned out differently if it weren't for the flood of violently anti-Semitic immigrants that has overtaken the streets of the United Kingdom.
Well, it depends when you want to put the dates on the immigration. We've had, these communities have been here for a long time, and a lot of them are natal Britons. So, that's a little bit more nuanced and tricky, I think.
Well, you know me, I'm tricky. You've seen my YouTube videos, haven't you?
Oh, of course you are indeed a trickster.
I could do some insane tricks. Did anybody interesting stand out for you? I've got a whole list of non-major player. Well, maybe major in this scenario, but. Or do you want me to?
No, I wasn't paying attention that closely. I hate the UN and my ship would be disbanded, so I only paid headline stuff to it. So you go for it.
Okay, I'll do some quick picks. You tell me what you think about Qatar, the perennial patrons of peace. I just want to say that just like Trump, they denounced UN inefficacy, but for totally different reasons, which I think is proof that the United Nations can no longer function because democracies and dictatorships have nothing in common. They have no shared common values and no shared common goals. Like both of these countries went hard in on how the UN like no longer functions. I just want to say the eminently quotable quote from Qatar. I love this one, Andrew. This is literally a quote. If you haven't heard this, you're going to fall off your chair, so put on your seatbelt. Ready?
Yep.
Israel is surrounded by neighbors who have made peace or want to make peace, who have either made peace or want to make peace.
Hmm. How interesting.
Super
Insights.
accurate.
Insights into Middle Eastern geostrategy that we never heard before from the Qataris there. How insightful.
We're living in bizarro land. I mean, even Russia opened with an attack on it. Like, not even Ukraine. Like, you would think Russia would be like, oh my God, Ukraine, they're the devil, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, Israel. No. They
Straight in.
started out not with a sentence, but like the whole like opening. They even quoted the U.S. Declaration of Independence
Oh, that's quite
against
good banter,
Ukraine.
to be fair, from the old
Huh?
Ruskies. The Ruskies know that they like to. They can play a kind of cheeky game, can't they? The Russians. That's yeah. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Their quote. Want to hear their quote that I pulled?
Go on, go for it.
They urge, this is a quote, strict adherence to UN charter without double standards.
Cool.
Where
Well,
would that leave Russia?
the woman whose husband they killed while I was in Ukraine managed to buy her new house today.
Yeah.
So that's
She got her new
some.
house?
Yeah, so I was in Ukraine about a month ago. We were delivering humanitarian aid on the front line, and one family we visited, their house was hit by a missile the very next night. The father was killed, eldest son was killed, daughter only survived because she was in the kitchen getting water. Um, and James Glancy and I went to visit them in hospital, and we said we'd try and help. So we set up a GoFundMe, and it raised £18,000 thanks to the good people on X. But Ukraine's a very poor country, and that is enough for her to buy a house for her and her surviving son and daughter. And they completed the house sale today, which
Amazing.
was pure morale. So she's, it's not going to make up for the loss that she suffered, but it's nice to have been able to step in and help as a kind of fuck you to Russia, quite frankly. And also because it's nice to help people. But
I hope
yeah,
that
that
warms
was
your heart. Andrew, that was such a massive undertaking, and you deserve like all the credit in the world. As everybody has heard many, many times lately, in Judaism, they say, to save a life is to save a universe. And so congratulations on saving multiple universes with your efforts there.
well, I couldn't have done it without all the wonderful people who chipped in to support it. So thank you to them. Quite remarkable. But yeah, that's Russia. That's what Russia do.
Yeah.
Israel's hit civilian houses in Gaza, but because they're being used by Hamas, not because there's just innocent Gazans in there that they want to kill. Before people start clipping this and going, oh, look, they're upset about Russia, but they care about Israel. It's like, no, these are different things.
Yeah.
These are different things,
Yeah. He also called for an end of colonialism as he tries to
Nice.
peacefully reunite the USSR to its glory days. I just would love to see a UN that adheres to its charter without double standards and where all these countries would wind up. Okay, Turkey started by accusing Israel of deliberately killing 250 journalists. Okay, this is like one of many arguments why Israel can't let journalists in. But here's the quote of the day from Turkey, from Erdogan. Ready? This is an actual quote. I'm not summarizing. There is no war in Gaza.
Interesting.
Yes, all it is Israel betraying the shared values of humanity. Once again, what shared values? And in other news of note for our friends in Gaze for Gaza, this moderate Islamic Turkey stated that, quote unquote, defending the family consisting of a woman and a man means defending humanity, defending nature, life, and the future. Hooray, gays for Gaza. This is what you're voting for.
Amazing. Well, there's two things we can pull out of this, I think. First of all is that, Israel's international isolation is real and is a real problem on top of that. This is a bad situation, which is, again, another reason why the ceasefire deal is something I firmly support. And the second piece would be that, we need to find an alternative to this nonsense.
Yes.
It needs to be defunded. It needs to be, UNICEF and all this stuff needs to be brought right back down. And we need to find other ways to kind of help the world, because this is a farce. A farce.
I absolutely agree that it's a farce. And now I'm going to force you to take a knee to Trump and say, this is the first viable plan. Come on. A little bit of credit.
It's not a plan.
It's
No,
not
I
viable?
always said credit where credit's due. I mean, it's a plan that we never had before. I literally said that this afternoon with Jake, but it's not viable. It's
Well, it's
not a plan that's
half-baked.
going to work. But it's a starter. It's something to build on into something that will work. But there's a hell of a lot of things that can go wrong between here and then. I think it's more likely to go off the rails than not. But it's something.
Yeah.
He's grabbed Bibi by the short and curlies and said, agree. He's grabbed Qatar and Turkey by the short and curlies and gone, you're going to agree as well? Any
Right.
fucking questions? No, didn't think so. And now it's over to them to try and persuade Hamas to accept the deal, which, who's to say? Who's to say? I'm not going to predict one way or the other. I think if the pressure from the Qataris and Turkish works, there's a chance, but I'm not optimistic.
I have to say that while you were probably groaning, I was laughing all the way through Trump's UN speech. I mean, forget about how many heads rolled over the escalator and the teleprompter mishaps. But the whole speech, he ripped the UN a new asshole, and then they gave him basically a standing ovation. It was so funny. It's like when he's like, I ran into the president of Brazil, I gave him a big hug, and then I came here to humiliate him. And they cheer for it. So,
I mean, the guy's an
I
entertainer. It's, it's how it got elected.
he's also creating a new world order.
Interesting take. Go on. Where the hell are you going with this one?
How do you clap for somebody who is completely denigrating you and telling you how feckless and useless you are, unless you're willing to line up as they have it this week? We've got Starmer, Macron, Albanese, Carney, all of them, Turkey, Qatar, all of them saying, okay, we're on board with this new plan after we just spent a week talking about how we need to bury Israel. Let's take this very, very Israel-friendly plan and go with it, because he backed them in a corner. He's like, really? You want a state? Here's how you get one. Can't present a better offer, which nobody has.
I mean, the countries, everyone's just playing nice with Trump because they know that he'll be a dick if they don't. I mean, I don't think it's any sort of lasting change. It's just when, look at Starmer, for example. It doesn't really matter. He's got no influence in the Middle East. He can perform for his home crowd with nonsense, but he's not really got any dog in the fight here. So when Trump goes, dude, he'll go, yeah, cool, whatever. It's really not that interesting for Starmer or Macron. They've done their performance. They've placated the voters they want to placate. Frankly, that's the end of it, as far as they're concerned. So I think there's an awful lot of just kissing Trump's ass when he needs his ass kissed because he likes it. And it keeps him happy.
I call that a new world order.
Okay. If you call it, if you want to call it a new world order, you call it a new world order.
Well, if everybody's in their own corners and then all of a sudden they're all in a line, that's a new order.
Yeah, but it's only for this. It's not like it's going to last or have any meaningful impact. It's just, it's just them going, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Do what you need to do, bro. I don't think it's going to fix Israel's international isolation. I don't think it's going to fix the anti-Semitism. I don't think it's going to fix the Middle East, quite frankly.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think you will.
We'll see. I just also want to note one thing on Macron, that he said that his first and foremost demand was that these 3 hostages that they have in Iran under inhumane conditions must be released immediately because France never abandons its children. But Israel should. And let's throw in statehood while we're at it. The irony.
Yeah, look, it's all a
standard.
performance. It's all a domestic performance. I think that's part of the problem with the international order is it was set up to kind of transcend states. But unfortunately, there are still domestic considerations that are always going to impact on how people behave on the international stage. And the two things just aren't compatible. It's why the League of Nations failed. It's why the UN has failed. It's why any other attempt to do this is going to fail, unless you take democracy out of the question. That's why authoritarian states can do more in many ways, because they don't have to worry about those pesky voters every 4 or 5 years. they can just crack on and do whatever they want. So but unfortunately, democracy for them, democracy is also the best way to get your country rich and powerful, because it drives human entrepreneurial spirit, and it drives your economy and gets you wealthier.
Yeah. If I could say 3 sort of sidelined countries of note, shout out to Indonesia for actually uttering the word shalom.
Shalom, yeah, I saw that. Crazy.
I mean,
who saw that coming?
Yeah, the rest of the speech really was very harsh on Israel, called it a genocide, all the things. But he said the word shalom, the world's largest Muslim or the country with the largest Muslim population. Obviously, Trump made him say it, but they still did walk out on Netanyahu. So there was a line drawn there. But that was interesting. Huge shout out to Javier Milei, the most understated friend of Israel from Argentina. Love the guy. And he's an economic genius. And a surprise from New Zealand, right? Who despite...
Whoa. Argentina had to be bailed out by the International Monetary Fund. I would quite recently, like last year, under Milei. I wouldn't, his economic genius, I think the jury is firmly still out on that one.
Did you listen to his 20-hour talk with Lex Friedman?
No.
Okay, you got to listen to it. He is a genius, even if I didn't understand a word of it.
Oh, they had that. I noticed he had his usual rattle about the Falklands, and so he can go fuck himself, frankly. But he's Argentina, no fan whatsoever. The Falklands is British. We know that from 1982 when we went down there and spanked them. So the RGs can back the fuck off.
Okay. And he's a great friend of Israel. And then New Zealand, again, just another weird speech where it was just a litany of false and libelous allegations against Israel, but they still broke ranks with Australia and refused to recognize a Palestinian state. So again, the posturing, I think some people, like maybe New Zealand, don't even know what they're posturing for, because that was a really weird,
New Zealand's not run by the progressives who've been gone at by Qatari think tanks, so it makes a bit more sense in that context. But yeah.
Okay. Anyone else of note that you'd like to shout out to?
No. I'm
I know
you end out there.
You are so exhausted, Andrew. I just want to say, I watch in awe every week how much content you produce on every platform. You write like you're writing an encyclopedia, and you are on TV show after TV show, podcast after podcast, and I know how exhausting it is. And so thank you for showing up today. I know that it's exhausting. We're all a little tired.
It's all good. I couldn't let you down, my friend. Couldn't let you down.
Aw, thank you. Okay, let's go over the 20 points. Do you want me to go over each point and lightning round, just a sentence, 2 sentences about each point so we could get through this and you could get to bed?
Yeah, cool. Let's do that.
Okay, do you want to take turn reading points? Do you want me to just read them because I have them in
Have you got them in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, right. You read each point. We can take it in turns to say something.
Okay. Number 1, Gaza. Gaza will be number 1. Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Go.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, with me, Hamas responds, "You lost me at Gaza." Okay, number 2. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. This is Trump's actual words.
Yeah, and it's not, they have suffered undeniably. And this is one of my concerns, is that the redevelopment does have to benefit the actual Gazans, because if they end up as just the waiters and the coffee makers and the hotel room cleaners, whilst foreigners come in and make a fortune with their companies and businesses and their luxury hotels, then that is just a recipe for things going bang in the first 5 minutes, quite frankly.
To me, the problem with redeveloping for the benefit of the people of Gaza is the fact that their government doesn't care about the people of Gaza. And I think that even though they have suffered, this half of the sentence that says who have suffered more than enough is just Trump shouting out to the Israel haters. True or not true, it's a weird thing to be putting into a plan, is to put in this kind of commentary. Number 3, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal.
Well, they missed out the extra bit there, which the other thing that will happen is the Israeli government will collapse immediately, as Ben-Gvir and Smotrich walk out of the coalition. So that's the bit that's really going to piss off the far right. There are lots of people, and I know on Twitter, are going to be very upset with that. But it's the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do a year ago. It's the right thing to do now. And yeah, stop the war and get the hostages home.
Yep. I think that we're in a post-political phase right now, and also that the opposition parties have also already said that they're going to step in to support
they'll get it through the
Yeah.
Knesset, but they'll still have to have an election in Israel.
Keep in mind, it's still a democracy, and most polling still has Likud at or near the top. So we'll see what is yet to happen. Elections doesn't necessarily mean the end of Likud, but I understand where everyone's coming from. I think it's weird, this immediate end, because usually there's like a cool-off period, like 24 hours, 72 hours, because that is just so imminently breakable as a term, violatable, that every time this is how these break down. Like one rocket from Hamas, okay, done. One targeted response from Israel, okay, done. So,
yeah, look, bottom line, Trump just wants this war over. That's what this is all about. He's just told Bibi, this is it. He's told Hamas, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm done with you. Make it end.
Yeah.
And I think that's the rationale behind that, I suspect.
Okay, number 4, my favorite. I think this should be number 1 for all parties involved, even if it's just a matter of posturing. Within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement. Wait, Israel already accepted the agreement. I think that's supposed to be
Maybe
Hamas.
it means both sides. Yeah, maybe it means both
Hamas
sides.
isn't even mentioned. All hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned.
Loud cheers and applause from the crowd. That's what we all want, isn't it? If this plan achieves nothing else but that, then it's a success.
Agree. The other thing that I'd like to add to that is figure out how many hostages there are. President Donald Trump, he gets it wrong every single time. It's 20 who we know are alive, 2 who we don't know, and 36 who 48 26. See, now I'm messing it up. 26 who we know to be deceased. Every single time he does different math, and it's weird. So let's make that important. And I just messed it up because I added in the 2 that were questionable, and all of a sudden all math went out the door because you think that your mind's a scramble. I can't even subtract 2 from 28 anymore. Okay, number 5. Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7, 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage whose remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans.
Expensive deal.
Very expensive. Remember that children are Hamasniks, meaning 15-year-olds with RPGs. These aren't like 3-year-olds.
Yeah, it's not like toddlers. It's not like toddlers running around the jails, because the awful IDF have arrested them. Yeah, no, it's child soldiers.
It's definitely what they try to make it out to be. And this is also the paradigm that we were trying to break free from, following the Shalat deal catastrophe, and then seeing these like dribs and drab deals that it was supposed to be like all for nothing. And now we're back to 2000 for 20. Ugh. But do you think they're going to release Sinwar's body?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think it'd be foolish if that is one of them, because that then gives a martyr and a chance for a shrine and all that sort of stuff. I think politically, I mean, they've already let Sinwar go once.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it again.
What about Barghouti?
Wow, that's a big question, isn't it? That's a big question. Was he 4 life sentences plus 20 years he's got?
Is it only 4?
Yeah. I mean, one of the uglier moments of this war was Ben Gvir going in and taunting the guy. Not that I have any sympathy particularly, but it just shows the sort of caliber of man Ben Gvir is. Just what bother? That makes no sense to me. Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, it's someone to rally around. He's very popular. Could he ever work with Israel, though?
Well, I think that when you say he's very popular, in Hamas is very popular, and in Abbas is very unpopular, and yet the world is kissing Abbas's ring right now, and holding him up as the future of the Palestinian state. Abbas does not want to see Barghouti released because that is his number one political rival. So ironically, Abbas might be the one who says, you know what, keep the guy, it's okay.
We'll take you.
Okay, number 6. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit, I love this shit, who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. A lot to unpack there.
I mean, yeah, I've told you all along, Hamas isn't being destroyed. This guarantees it. Much as I hate being right, this just guarantees that the ideology stays alive, and look, they don't even have to do anything. The fact that they're there means they beat Israel. The fact they survived means they won, and they'll sell it that way. And they could be. There's so many clever different ways they could do this without. It's not like they're going to march down the street with a banner or a placard, a quiz for Palestine on it. This can be backroom. This can be subtle influence. This can be grooming people to go out and sort of represent their ideology. It's just you can't dig this stuff out. It just is what it is. But this will make it worse.
Well, I don't know who these receiving countries are, and if Qatar is going to take them all in. And if they did Israel blow its entire assassination wad with the Qatar attack a few weeks ago?
Yes, they did. They had one shot and they fucked it.
Yeah. Even if it were the kind of attack where the Mossad goes in and blows it up from inside instead of from an airplane, and nobody knows who did it.
Not now that the US is a mutual defense pact.
Yeah.
I wouldn't risk it.
So I guess the other question, Andrew, after this like trilateral call between Netanyahu and Trump and Qatar is a little weird piece of me, as much as I know that they are these extraordinary purveyors of terror. A little tiny piece of me says, what if we did go legit and align with America? And okay, never mind. Okay.
Again, they're just playing the long game. They're just playing the long game, and they've played it brilliantly. They've played it absolutely amazingly. Also, there's rumors that we might be, Israel and America might be having another crack at Iran.
Yeah, for sure.
Which protects Qatar from repercussions like they received last time.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into it right now because this is supposed to be our speed round, but people should check out Haviv Redigur's analysis about this particular issue in Qatar and the alignment because it's really quite brilliant. Okay, number 7. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19th, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, and sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads.
Yep, needs to happen. I mean, there's no real issue with aid, but might as well send them more anyway. Sewage and stuff needs doing.
Yep.
There's no way this comes back if you don't start fixing the place. So start getting it fixed. Makes sense.
Agreed. But we need a mechanism, first of all, to stop it from being hijacked. And also, we need contingencies. If we just flood it with aid again without their doing their part, I think that we wind up back where we were on October 6th or 20.
We're going there anyway.
Oh, Andrew, you break my heart. Okay, well, you break my heart all the time. Number 8, here we go. Entry of distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations. Yeah. Actually, they explain who the interfering parties are. The United Nations' agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated any matter with either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented under the January 19th, 2025 agreement.
GHF gone?
That's exactly. And I'm wondering, so Andrew, maybe you could explain this better than I can, because from what I've heard over and over and over again, this plan is going to be implemented whether Hamas agrees to it or not. In fact, when we go down, there's a clause that says that. Is this the end of the GHF? Now,
well, I think it has to be from the words written down. Again, this isn't a plan. This is a framework, and that there'll be details that fall out of this that will clarify all of this stuff. And a lot of the criticism has been, there's not enough detail. It's like, well, that's is not the plan. This is just the framework for the plan. So, that will change and adapt. But it's become a symbolic thing for the Palestinian side to get rid of it. So, yeah.
I think it's weird how they keep using the word immediately. None of this can possibly be immediate because none of the mechanisms are in place. Is UNRWA going to retake control? Because UNRWA, now that Palestine's a state, is completely useless, redundant. It needs to be dismantled. Is Hamas going to be rooted out of the UN if they're going to go back to controlling the food? Because we know that controlling the food is controlling the population. Or are they just depending on the economics of overflooding Gaza with food so that there's no black market left?
Nothing to.
Yeah, and what I understand though is that Israel, from what I read, maintains control of the Gaza side of the Rafah crossing due to the buffer zone that's going to line the strip. So
but they're not allowed to touch anything going in. So there's nothing to stop arms getting smuggled in and all that shenanigans.
Oh. Okay, that sucks. Number 9, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. The committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chartered by
the worst Prime Minister the UK's ever had.
Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of state to be announced, including...
I thought you were going to go to Blair. I thought you were talking about Blair. But no, the point here is this has been done before, and it was done in Iraq, and it was a disaster.
Right.
The transitional authority in Iraq was an absolute shambles. They punted it onto the Iraqi replacement government as soon as they possibly could, which was even worse because that was then codified into the law that there were sectarian divides. The Shias took over, Iran has hegemony, and now, of course, you have essentially an Iranian client state where Iraq used to be. So, like, who comes up with this stuff? Honestly,
Well,
this
Andrew,
is a mental idea.
but can we not learn from past mistakes? I mean, I
Look,
think history is only doomed to repeat itself if we don't learn its lessons.
and yet we're doing it again. So we clearly haven't learned the lesson. Look, the
Well,
answer to this is, essentially what you're doing is taking away all Palestinian agency.
mhm,
And I can't
because they
see
don't
them.
deserve it.
Well, yeah, but that means that things are just going to start blowing up, and riots and civil war, clan battles to try and
Well,
gain.
are
Comes
the
out. It's just
I'm
don't see
wondering
this words.
if the Apolitical Palestinian Committee refers to these clans, because I didn't finish the second half of this, which said this body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority, now they're naming the PA, has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and the Saudi-French proposal, and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment.
It's just fantasy. He's just playing fantasy Palestine here. Like the PA they're not as bad as Hamas, but they're like maybe 1 point down from them in terms
Right.
of the amount they hate Jews and want Jews dead. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, exasperating, It's just like, how can you be so stupid or ignorant about the Middle East as to think this is going to work?
Well, I agree. I think that the PA will never complete its reform program as stated. To me, this sounds like the kind of like rehab center where you keep relapsing and winding right back into ward.
Yeah.
But it also means that they may never get that control because they never complete this process. Okay, it's a little pie in the sky. Number 10, a Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups. It'll be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for a future Gaza.
And money for Donald J. Trump and his family.
Yeah, my 3 words are earn, baby, earn. I mean, okay, number 11. Here we go again. A special economic zone that will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries.
Okay. What are you trading?
But
there's nothing to trade. I mean, what are they making that they need to sell to get tariff exemptions from? Like, what booming factory industry? Like, again,
tunnels.
we're just in the realms of fantasy here. Yeah.
Okay.
You want tunnels? Tunnels are us.
I wonder after the U.S. though is levying these massive tariffs even on all their true and staunch allies, if they're going to be like, yeah, no, Gaza tariff free.
I'm loving Naomi's little running commentary in the comments. Thank you for that, Naomi. You're making me laugh. Cheers.
2 pounds. Excuse me. Number 12. Oh my gosh. This is where things start going sort of funny. Number 12. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza.
I mean, I didn't support the plan to clear them out. So that's fine by me. It does make the reconstruction a little bit more difficult, though, because there's a lot of stuff in the ground there that still will go bang if you hit it with a shovel. So they're going to need to be very careful with where these people live, and they need to, it's going to be tough to make conditions where they can live a comfortable life. It's going to be tents and prefab buildings and stuff like that. So that's not ideal, but I just don't see this shifting them out of there is the right answer. If they want to go, then by all means, best of luck to them. But where do they go is the big question.
And how?
And
Is
that's a big
Egypt going to suddenly open
yeah.
the border?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
some problems there.
What I found really interesting about this, though, Andrew, I've said a few times that it seems like when Trump dropped that idea and Bibi lit up and he's like, yes, that Trump forgot about it after that and Bibi ran with it. And I think this is the proof. This is a complete about face from what he said that day. But I think that he realized if he encourages them to stay, he gets cheap labor.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be bang on brand for Trump as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Number 13. We're almost through. Egypt, not Egypt, Hamas and other factions agreed to have, see, now I can't even read anymore. Hamas and other factions agreed to not have any role in the governance of Gaza. Why are they going to sign this? Directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza. This is the name, the official name, capital N, capital G, will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and to peaceful coexistence with their neighbors.
Sure they will. They'll hand in weapons. They'll hand in weapons. I was chatting to a friend of mine who's an IDF medic the other day. I picked him up from Heathrow and gave him a lift to some family residents in London. And he was saying their supply of weapons is inexhaustible. They've got so much. They could give up half of it and then keep the rest squirreled away, and make a big show about handing over the AKs and the mortar barrels. But ideally, you'll get rid of all the weapons. It's this isn't Belfast. It's not Northern Ireland where you've got a relatively sane partner that you can do business with. I mean, the IRA were evil, but they weren't psychopathic jihadists. And yeah, it's just not the same thing. This is Tony Blair's little fingers coming in here. That's where this nonsense is coming from, I suspect. Just cash for arms. Nah, bollocks. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but the internationally funded buyback, that's also another way of saying, let's refund them so they could get better, newer weapons. But when I read this and it just goes on and on and on, I'm like, yes, and everyone will also get a free pet unicorn. But they do have to get, I do have to say, I don't know why anybody would invest in Gaza unless they have nefarious intentions, unless the tunnel structure is dismantled. Otherwise, you're putting billions of dollars into whatever, Mirror Gaza, whatever it is. And next time that they provoke a response like this, which they say they're going to over and over again, you get rid of the tunnels, everything above it falls again. So I do believe that infrastructural dismantling is going to have to happen on some level before people.
Yeah, agreed. And they can make big steps to all of this. This is. I'm not saying none of this is going to happen. I'm saying that it's not going to happen to the maximum extent where it will make a concrete difference to terrorists' ability to shoot policemen or whatever it might be. Or UAE security guards or whatever it is. That's my point.
Number 14, a guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations and that New Gaza poses no threat to its neighbor or its people.
Yeah, cool. How do you enforce that? Brilliant.
I want to know if this is a money back guarantee, because there's a lot of money in, and it sounds like a formula for another international money pit to me.
Yeah. Come on, let's get through these. What's next?
Okay. The U.S. will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have had extensive experience in this field. This force will be the long-term international security solution. ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas, along with newly trained Palestinian police forces is critical critical to prevent munitions from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. A deconfliction mechanism will be agreed upon by the parties.
Oh, where else recently did we try and do host nation capacity building in the immediate aftermath of a war? I don't know. I wonder if there's any recent historical examples where that went catastrophically wrong and didn't work at all.
I can't think of
Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it. This is yeah.
It sounds like a new UNRWA, UNIFIL, whatever the hell, ineffectual, who knows what.
Yeah.
Okay, going on with ISF, Israel, we're almost done, will not occupy or annex Gaza. As the ISF establishes control and stability, the IDF will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon between the IDF, ISF, and the guarantors and the United States, with the objective of a secure Gaza that, this is interesting, a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over the Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF, according to an agreement they will make with the Transitional Authority until they are withdrawn completely from Gaza, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain until Gaza is properly secure from any insurgent terror threat.
I mean, it's standard counterinsurgency doctrine that we tried many times. Who knows? Maybe this Arab ISF will have better luck than we did. I wish them well.
But I see this as the first time that they've referred to a quote-unquote threat to Egypt. That's not usually part of the equation that they actually say out loud.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is something the Egyptians asked to have put in when they were discussing this at the UNGA.
Yeah, well, that tells a lot about the role that Egypt has been playing and why they've been playing it. But I do see this as good, as relieving Israeli soldiers, the reservists, and also their coffers. I feel like this will be really good, honestly.
I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened when the first ISF patrol goes bang. What happens then? That's going to be really interesting.
Are they going to be armed? Do you know?
Well, they must be, surely. How can you be a security force if you're not armed in Gaza?
Well, good question.
I've worked with Bahraini and UAE special forces, so they're creme de la creme.
Mm-hmm.
I do not rate them especially highly, shall we say?
Yeah,
polite.
Yeah.
The idea that these are going to be the security force. I need selling. I need selling on this plan. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, and where are their interests? Okay, number 17. In the event, this is the one that I go, maybe you could help me on this one. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled up aid operations, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. So Israel already agreed to this day. So when they say above, are they talking about 16 or the first 16? How is Israel going to do this without Hamas? Among other things, that doesn't include hostage
I think
release.
this is further down the line. This isn't the initial deal, is it? Because there's no ISF to hand anything over to. This is talking about in the future.
Maybe. I mean, what I've heard is now, but I could be wrong. Everything with ISF, they use the word immediately. So it just says that.
Yeah, just poorly written.
Okay, it's weird. That part I don't fully understand how any of this is gonna unfold without Hamas's buy-in. Number 18. An interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived from peace. 3 words. Kumbaya, my lord.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Okay, now we're getting into bizarro world.
Mm.
Number 19, while Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. That one is so craftily worded.
Yeah. I was busy reading a comment, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, let me read it again, because honestly, like,
Mm.
this is the crux of the whole statehood debate. While Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people.
I mean, that's the carrot, isn't it? It's the carrot to all the sticks. Behave yourselves and you get a state at the end of it. But I've got a much wider point to make that ties to this, so I'll make that right at the end. If you go
Okay,
on with the last one.
I don't see it that way. I see it as an acknowledgement that the Palestinian people want a state, and we're acknowledging that that's what they want, and that there may be some sort of pathway and there may not, but we acknowledge, yeah, they want it. To me, this does not put us in any place other than we've been all along. Okay. A credible pathway is not a state. Nowhere in here does it say they're going to acknowledge a Palestinian state. Okay, here we go. Number 20. You're so happy this is over. The United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Kumbaya, the sequel.
Yeah, not possible. End of. But look, what this is the equivalent of someone holding up a big sign to Hamas with the words "wait" written on it. Because if I see this, I'm like, okay, cool. So all I have to do here is hand in a few guns. I've got loads. That's fine. I'll give them half. Thank you very much. I've got an amnesty for me, so don't have to worry about being assassinated. I can start recruiting my little teams and spreading the political message. We'll let the ISF go by. They're not going to do anything straight away. They'll let this all develop and kind of go for it. And then, one of two things will happen. Either they'll get a pathway to statehood, well, they'll then be able to get themselves elected, and then they'll be the democratic government and be able to do whatever they want with this same toxic ideology that they've always had all along. Or the pathway to peace doesn't emerge, in which case, after a certain period of time, let's start blowing stuff up, lads. Nice hotel you've got there. Be a real shame if someone to stick a bunch of explosives under it. Yeah, it's a big sign, neon lights, flashing lights saying, just wait. That's all you have to do. And you'll get, you'll either get what you want or you can go and do violence to these useless security forces that are here, that aren't the IDF.
I think we're about to finally find out how much influence Qatar actually has on Hamas. My biggest challenge with this plan is the implied immediacy coupled with a lack of concrete implementation strategy. Like, for example, how does the ISF start immediate deployment when it doesn't even exist? The plan is equal parts comprehensive and completely half-baked at the same time. I would say, if I were to guess, I mean, not that this is a new thought, but we're going to get another yes, but from Hamas. Yes, but we must reserve the right for our innocent civilians to flood the South from time to time for some good old-fashioned massacres. Israel, however, finally does have the upper hand, and they shouldn't fold. I mean, no more partial deals. And can I
But
just
look,
say, Andrew?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other issue here is, what if they say no? What then? Israel's in this endless whack-a-mole that they're doing. Hamas just melts away. They don't have to fight. And again, all they have to do is wait. All they have to do is wait. There's been almost no fighting in Gaza City. It's been a bit, but Hamas gave that order. Yeah, all their troops have melted away into the 2 million civilians they can hide in. And keeping going is a recipe for just playing this whack-a-mole. Slow, expensive. The IDF's demoralized. All the troops I talk to are just licked with this now. They're fully done. It's a real bad thing if Hamas says no, unfortunately. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
But Israel has control right now of approximately 80% of the Strip. If the ISF steps in, that's going to relieve the IDF, the reservists, relieve Israel. And it's going to, there's no as we say all along, these are very, very long-term horizons, and we have to understand that. But if the international community takes responsibility for de-radicalizing this strip, it really can change the whole world. But it's going to require an awful lot of sticking to your guns, so to speak.
I mean, if you can come up with a way to de-radicalize 2 million people you've just spent 2 years bombing, who hated you anyway, then you will be well deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that's all I want in this world. I think that it's all going to start with re-education, to be honest.
It'll be the Yogi Peace Prize.
Come on. I totally.
Oh, that's terrible. Sorry.
Yesterday
I
I got
apologize to
into
everyone watching for that appalling pun. My
Last
bad.
night, I got ripped a new a-hole on X and accusing me of being a bot. And part of me was like, really? Why don't you just Google me? I'm very easy to find and the only Shana Meyerson in the world. You can find out if I'm a bot. And then I'm like, oh no, because you could also find out where I live. So ixnay on the Hot Bay. But that was the best. Andrew, next week we're off. You are going to have some well-deserved rest and relaxation. What is the word for that in military terms again?
R&R.
Oh, do you also call it honor? Okay, I thought there was like another
That was the
word,
military term. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you're
Well,
so warlike and you don't even know it.
that's right. I am the Yogi of war. Andrew, thank you for showing up when I know that your schedule is so overwhelmed. Always wonderful to have these conversations. I'm going to miss you next week. Next week, of course, is October 7th. Please, everybody, keep in mind, pray for the hostages, especially those of you who are celebrating Yom Kippur tonight. As we spend these 25 hours in reflection, pray for the hostages. We need all 48 home.
Here, I'm not going to go and starve myself and be in a room for 25 hours, but I will also be keeping that uppermost in my mind and hope that against all odds, Hamas do the right thing and send them home. If you've enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe and, leave a star rating or whatever platform you're watching it on. Once we upload this beyond Substack's narrow walls, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And until then, from me, cheers to you all.
And from me, L'chaim. Happy New Year. Shana Tova and Gemara and whatever, Hatima Tova, all the things.
All the good stuff in right to left.
I said Gemara, it's Gemar. I can't even speak Hebrew. I can't do any of the things anymore. The brain scrambling, ready for some days of reflection. L'chaim, Andrew. Have a good one.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.